Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher who is considered to be a central figure of modern philosophy. He argued that fundamental concepts structure human experience and that reason a source of morality. Kant's major work, The Critic of Pure Reason, aimed to explain the relationship between reason and human experience. Kant argued that our experience is structured by necessary features of our mind. He also believed that the concepts of space and time are integral to all human experiences, as human experience shares certain essential structural features. Kant aimed to resolve disputes between empirical and rationalist approaches. As you can tell, Kant had many different beliefs, which is why he's so widely known today.
Immanuel Kant did not declare himself neither empiricist nor rationalist, but he did combine both of it in his philosophy and his works. His greatest work that combines both of these is called The Critique of Pure Reason, and this began a period of new philosophy called German idealism. Kant said that knowledge was impossible without the truths from both rationalism and empiricism. His ethics were simply based on reason and moral duties that we have, and they could both be broken down by all of the rational beings.
Immanuel Kant had two major works on ethics, The Foundation of the Metaphysics of Morals in 1785 and The Critique of Practical Reason in 1787. One of Kant's four major points on ethics is reason and freedom. He believes without the assumption of freedom, reason cannot act. Kant says, reason creates for itself the idea of a spontaneity that can, on its own, start to act, without, in other words, needing to be preceded by another cause, by means of which it is determined to action in turn, according to the law of causal connection. Another one of Kant's ethics is the duality of the human situation, which is, humans are between two worlds. Humans are both sensible and intellectual. They are not determined to act by natural impulse, nor are they free of non-rational impulse. Because of this, humans need a principle that declares how they should act. When it is in their power to choose, they need rules of conduct.
The good will is another ethic that was influential. The will, Kant says, is the faculty of acting according to a conception of law. When we act, whether or not we achieve what we intend with our actions, is often beyond our control, so the morality of our actions does not depend upon their outcome. What we can control, however, is the will behind the action. That is, we can will to act according to one law rather than another. The morality of an action, therefore, must be assessed in terms of the motivation behind it. If two people, Smith and Jones, perform the same act from the same conception of the law, but events beyond Smith's control prevent her from achieving her goal, Smith is not less praiseworthy for not succeeding. We must consider them on equal moral grounds in terms of the will behind their actions. The only thing that's good without qualification is the good will. Goodness cannot arise from acting on impulse or natural inclination, even if impulse coincides with duty. It can only arise from conceiving of one's actions in a certain way. We might be tempted to think that the motivation that makes an action good is having a positive goal, but that's not the right sort of motive. If the possession of a rationally guided will, that adds a moral dimension to one's acts. So it's the recognition and appreciation of duty itself that must drive our actions. Duty is the fourth ethic that Kant found influential. Kant distinguishes two kinds of law produced by reason. Given some end we wish to achieve, reason can provide a hypothetical imperative, or rule of action for achieving that end. A hypothetical imperative says that if you wish to buy a new car, then you must determine what sort of cars are available for purchase. Conceiving of a means to achieve some desired end is by far the most common employment of reason. But Kant has shown that the acceptable conception of the moral law cannot be merely hypothetical. Our actions cannot be moral on the ground of some conditional purpose or goal. Morality requires an unconditional statement of one's duty, and in fact, reason produces an absolute statement of moral action. The moral imperative is unconditional. That is, its imperative force is not tempered by the conditional, if I want to achieve some end, then do this. It simply states, do this. Kant believes that reason dictates a categorical imperative for moral action. He gives at least three formulations of the categorical imperative. The first one states, act only according to that maxim, by which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. The second one states, act as though the maxim of your action were by your will to become a universal law of nature. And the last one states, act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in that of another, always as an end and never as a means only.
Immanuel Kant created the principle of transcendental idealism. This idea has three major theses. The first is that there is a distinction between appearances of things and how things really are, as in their ideal form. The second states that time and space affects appearances of things, but not the things themselves. And the third is that we can only understand things that we have experienced ourselves.
I was thinking about Kant's first thesis the other day, and it got me thinking, are we seeing this chick, or is she just there?
Are we seeing her as we see her?
Or as I see her? And what if that's different from how you see her?
Or how she sees herself? So, can you explain Kant's second thesis to me?
Yeah, it has to do with a priori, the idea that time and space only affect the appearances of things, but not the things themselves. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. Good night.
Good night. I wonder if Valerie's still awake. It's only 2 a.m. Hey, what's up? Just seeing if you're still awake. It's a different time and space, but you're still the same person.
No way. Okay, we have to stop now. So now that we live in Nebraska, what is snow like?
Well, Kant's third thesis says you can't understand something unless you've experienced it.
It's snowing! I understand!